Vijeta Soni, madam. Yeah. The panelists, first I am starting with the Yuva. Shiva Sankeshwar, VRL and Vijayanand Travels. Shri Shiva Sankeshwar kindly requested to kindly come over. I would also like to call upon Shri Saurabh Patwardhan from the Prasanna Purple Group. The panelists, Shri Shiva Sankeshwar and Saurabh Patwardhan to kindly come over. I would also request Mr. Bhavesh Kabra from Srinath Travels to kindly come over. Bhavesh Kabra, yeah. And now we move on to the senior panel, which will also be a part of this wonderful panel. So it's a confluence of seniors and juniors. Shri Prasanna Patwardhan, the president of BOCI, will be one of the panelists. So put your hands together for Shri Prasanna. And also Shri Nandlal Kabra from the Srinath Travels. So I would request Mr. Bhavesh Kabra as well as Mr. Nandlal Kabra to kindly come over. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am pretty sure that you must be doing a rehearsal of clapping, because after this there will be the award function. So please put your hands together and let's welcome all the panelists here, because after this you will have to do more and more clapping, because there will be the awards which will be given away. So in the interest of time, I would straight away hand over the session to the moderator, Vijeta Soni ji. It's all yours.
Namaskar. Sat Sri Akal, Adab, and hello to everyone. I am Vijeta Soni, and I would like to thank you so much for joining in today to speak about the confluence of generations. And I would like to thank the esteemed panelists who have come along with me to speak about how the generations they are honing within their homes and their businesses. Today, we will be using both Hindi and English in our discussion. Just to begin with, I would like to say कि बस इंडस्ट्री बदल रही है. जिस तरह से आप बसेस चला रहे थे आज से 15 साल पहले, 20 साल पहले, दुनिया वैसी आज नहीं है. आपके कस्टमर्स बदल रहे हैं, आपके रास्ते बदल रहे हैं, जिस तरह से आपके कस्टमर्स टिकट्स बुक करवाते हैं वो बदल रहे हैं. आपकी बसेस की इंजीनियरिंग भी बदल रही है. इस बदलते समय में एक बदलाव आपके बिजनेस में भी आना बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है. इस बदलाव, इस चेंज का नाम है युवा. सो युवा सिर्फ एक इंसान नहीं है, युवा एक पर्सन नहीं है, युवा एक सोच है, युवा एक माइंडसेट है. एंड बोकी युवा यही चेंज, यही माइंडसेट लाने के लिए आज ये पैनल एक साथ आपके सामने लेकर आए हैं. तो इस पैनल में मेरे साथ में है श्री प्रसन्ना पटवर्धन, जो कि सीनियर युवा को एग्जिबिट कर रहे हैं. उन्हीं के साथ में है मिस्टर नंदलाल काबरा जी श्रीनाथ ट्रैवल्स के, जो सीनियर पैनल को एग्जिबिट कर रहे हैं. एंड वी ऑल्सो हैव आदित्य सागर, शिव संकेश्वर, सौरभ पटवर्धन एंड मिस्टर भावेश काबरा. सो इस पैनल डिस्कशन में हमें बदलती सोच, एक घर से शुरू जो हो रही है, एक बिजनेस से जो शुरू हो रही है, वो सोच किस तरह से इंडस्ट्री को आगे लेकर के जा रही है, उस चीज़ को डिस्कस करेंगे. एंड आई एम प्रिटी श्योर in your homes, in your businesses, you would be having the same discussions with your next generation. So with me, I would love to start this panel discussion. So Prasanna Patwardhan ji ki special request se, I would love to call upon Shri Pradyuman Datta, who is representing the network group along with Mr. Aditya Sagar on the dais as well. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. I will be setting out certain questions to the youth panel, and I will also be setting out certain questions to the senior panel. These questions will be targeted towards their areas of expertise, and I would like for them to be open-heartedly speaking about their thoughts, their experiences in their respective generations. So with that, I start my first question. My first question is to Saurabh. Saurabh, what are some of the unique strengths that Yuva brings into the table when you're talking about your enterprises and your business? And how is your experience as a Yuva different than the senior generation?
So good evening. Thank you for this opportunity, first of all, Vijeta. I think it's a great audience and it's wonderful to be here to share our thoughts. I think one of the first step towards making a sustainable, I would say, mobility industry grow in days to come is to provide such platforms wherein previous generations are able to openly engage with the next generations. So I'll start with two numbers. The first number is that 75% of India's GDP is by family businesses. So which means we are a land of family businesses, we are a land which knows how to run family business, and rather the GDP is dependent on family businesses to drive it forward. The second number is very interesting. Out of all the Fortune 500 companies, which are highly reputed obviously in the world, if you look at the year 1980, 80% of the businesses are no more today.
Right.
So which means there is a serious need for constant evolution of businesses, and that is possible as new generations come in. They bring a new perspective to the table. There is a new, I would say, way of looking at businesses which is essential for the growth of the sector and the business itself. So I think the fresh perspective being the target audience themselves, because as modern consumers ourselves, we are able to imagine services which people want today. So I think the first thing is perspective. The second thing is our natural, I would say, affinity towards using technology and towards using technology both as a consumer but also to run businesses. These are two things which I think the Yuva brings to the table, which hopefully will be able to fuel legacy businesses like us forward. Yeah.
Very interesting point. You spoke about perspective, right? Let me now go to Sri Prasanna sir about perspective. So when Saurabh spoke about the perspective that a Yuva brings into the business, the perspective which is towards the future growth, scalability, success of the business, how does the experienced senior person in the business like yourself look at that perspective? What do you think about it? आपको क्या लगता है जब भी युवा जब भी बिजनेस में आते हैं एंड वो अपने नई एक पर्सपेक्टिव लेकर के आते हैं, तो हाउ डू यू make sure that that perspective is respected, groomed, channeled and directed in the right direction?
So मैं बहुत बार सोचता हूँ कि बहुत सारे हमारे बॉस मालिक जो है वो बोलते हैं हमारी नेक्स्ट जनरेशन ये बिजनेस में आना नहीं चाहती है, और एट द सेम टाइम मैं दूसरे बाजू में जब भी देखता हूँ तभी जो हाईली एजुकेटेड जिनको हम बोलते हैं जैसे IIT, IIM, ये कॉलेज में के लड़के जो आ रहे हैं वो ये हमारे बिजनेस में आ रहे हैं और वो आगे निकल जा रहे हैं. तो ऐसे क्यों हो रहा है? तो देयर हैज़ टू बी समथिंग रॉन्ग विद द वे वी हैंड ओवर आर business to next generation. So basic difference in old and new generation is any generation, not this. When I took over from my father, that time also this must have happened. So अलग जनरेशन का जो आज सोच है वो सोच टेक्नोलॉजी से रिलेटेड ज़्यादा है, एंड ओल्ड जनरेशन का जो है वो ज़्यादा एग्जीक्यूशन, फिजिकल वर्क, एक्चुअल डूइंग इट बाय सेल्फ, ये ज़्यादा है. सो पुराने ज़माने में काम करने का एक अलग तरीका था, जो तरीके में टेक्नोलॉजी का यूसेज बहुत ही कम था. आज नए ज़माने में टेक्नोलॉजी इज़ यूज एक्सटेंसिवली, एंड सिटिंग एट वन लोकेशन यू कैन मैनेज anywhere in the world. That was not the case before.
That's right.
And probably that is where senior people like us are lagging, that we also expect our children to work the same way how we worked. And that is why probably they are not interested.
See, that's true. But many a times, and Shiva, this question is for you. See, many a times, younger generation has a lot of curiosity. They have a lot of excitement. Let me try out, experiment, many different things. So, as a young leader, and also young leaders who are getting groomed in so many other businesses within the bus operators industry, right? As a young leader in the bus industry, do you think that we look for short-term gains at expense of long-term stability, unlike what the veterans look for?
Uh, so, good evening, everybody. I'm Shiva Sankeshwar, MD of Vijeta Travels. I'm first of all thankful to BOCI and PRAWAAS for giving me this opportunity. So, answer your question, ma'am, like sir mentioned, I think majority of the family businesses are present here. Like, I would really encourage all the bus operators for asking their son or daughter or their future generations to join the business. And like you said, there is risk involved. But if you look at how the bus industry also has changed, last 15, 20 years ago, everything of whatever is happening was all offline. So since I do travel a lot, I keep looking at airports, and now we have DigiYatra. So who knows, maybe in the next 5 years, after the 2 or 3 editions of BOCI, we'll have something like that in the bus sector. And then looking at GPS, so I am 23. Our customer is very demanding. So they won't compromise on the GPS. They want the best of amenities. They want the best of food. And it's not like only from a customer's view we are going on fulfilling demands at the cost of the revenue or profitability. But even from operator perspective, it has become so much easier for us to access to information due to technology. Again, like sir mentioned, I don't have to travel to all my buses, all my routes to see what is happening. We are having things like dynamic pricing, and so much of automation is coming up. So considering all this, I definitely encourage the future generation to join the business, try new things, experiment, but not at the cost of completely changing your existing model. But I don't think any company will grow without the change, or there is a paradigm of shift that is necessary.
So very interesting point added Shiva over here, that as part of this generation, right, we are blessed with one factor, which is data. And how are we leveraging this data to understand what is happening in our markets, what is happening with our customers. So that's a very interesting spin that you have given, that while the युवा is not looking to jump the gun, right? युवा ये नहीं चाह रहा है कि हर चीज़ फटाफट करके जल्दी कंप्लीट कर ली जाए, बट एक वो डेटा देख करके, तरीके से समझ करके फिर वो अपने डिसीजंस लेना चाह रहा है. It's a very, very interesting point. And Saurabh, you also mentioned about the technology side of it, right? Technology and data is making this happen today. Okay. With Aditya, I was having a very interesting discussion with you yesterday. While technology and everybody is talking about data, technology, there is a very interesting spin you have over here, which is called culture, right? In today's changing world, where the environment is changing, the culture around you is also changing. So how do you think Yuva brings in a new organizational culture within the bus industry?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, BOCI, for giving me this opportunity. I'm happy to be here. This is better? Yeah. So, to answer your question, what technology has done for us is that it has taken the job of all the rudimentary things that we had manually. We were doing so many things manually. Now, with the help of all the GDS softwares that we are running, and even if you're running your own ERP systems, it's taking care of a lot of the operational jobs that manpower was doing. This has given us the opportunity to focus on the real thing, which is our passenger and the experience of the passenger. So like yesterday, Gadkari Saab was saying that we will eventually have electric buses where there will be service like there's service in flights, and there'll be a bus hostess giving food. Now that calls for a change of culture of our industry, where the driver is treated as well as the pilot of a plane. He is dignified with that job. He has been given self-worth. And then our passengers will start to feel our industry and the service that we are able to give them better, right? So we need to build a culture where the bus transport industry is not just looked at the last means of commuting from point A to B, but it's also a choice that people make to do road travel. It's a beautiful country, and it's a beautiful way to travel as well. So we need to change that culture. So there's a lot more I'd want to say on this, but I think we are short on time, so I think we can move on to the next question.
So getting the same respect as a pilot receives, giving the same to the driver as well, because in the driver is also taking lives along with him. There are lives which are traveling along with the driver. Mr. Kabra, सर आप ही जो जनरेशन आपने तो अपने घर में आपने अपने बिजनेस में भावेश जी को इतनी ब्यूटीफुली ग्रो किया है, राइट? ही इज़ सो ब्यूटीफुली इन्वॉल्व्ड इन द श्रीनाथ बिजनेस. आपको क्या लगता है नेक्स्ट जनरेशन को बिजनेस में फुल्ली आकर के सेट होने में कितना टाइम लगता है? उसमें क्या क्या चैलेंजेस आते हैं? क्या आप वो बता सकते हैं सबको?
देखिए, कोई भी जब बिजनेस सेकंड जनरेशन जब आती है तो उस जनरेशन को ये सोचना चाहिए कि भाई हमारी फैमिली में हमारे पेरेंट्स ने अगर वो प्रोग्रेस की है तो उसके कुछ एथिक्स सिस्टम बनाए हैं तो उसको फॉलोअप करना चाहिए. दूसरी बात, टाइम मैनेजमेंट. हम कोई भी काम बिजनेस करते हैं तो पूरा इंटरेस्ट से करना चाहिए वो बिजनेस, और क्वालिटी कस्टमर क्या मांगता है आज के समय में, तो समय के अनुसार हमको बदलना पड़ेगा. कोई भी काम हम करते हैं तो पूरा इंटरेस्ट से करें, उसको टेंशन या वो समय. आज हमने वो समय देखा है जब 24 आवर हमारे फ़ोन बजते थे, तो आज अब उस चीज़ को हमको प्रैक्टिकल बन के चलना पड़ेगा. अब कोई भी काम हम करते हैं तो उस इंडस्ट्री में क्या प्रॉब्लम है कि उसको एक्सेप्ट करके चलेंगे, और नई टेक्नोलॉजी का कस्टमर क्या चाहता है तो उस समय के अनुसार हमको बदलाव करना पड़ेगा. और जो काम करें हम पूरे इंटरेस्ट से करें तो शायद हम सक्सेस हो सकते हैं.
Mr. Pradyuman, what is your thought process on this? How does this cultural change happen within the organization? आपको क्या लगता है?
Really speaking, like when I started this business way back in 1981, the concept was totally different. You know, we have come a long way, and things have really changed for the better. There was nothing called a pollution certificate in those days. Technology was not there. Passenger expectation was lower. You know, they didn't expect anything much. Today, that concept of night travel was started in Assam during 1981. Nowadays, it's become a regular affair. You know, you save time, you save cost. And regarding business, it all depends on your passion. If you're interested, you can go ahead. Our population is growing, road networks are improving, Northeast is seeing a lot of changes. So future is very good. It depends on the younger generation, how they look at it. You know, it's not a very challenging thing. It's quite easy, come to think of it. Yeah, thank you.
Right. That's right. Bhavesh, coming to you. I have interacted with you multiple times, and with every interaction, I have seen that how you have honed technology, coming back to Saurav's point, how you have honed technology for the Srinath's business. It will be so good if you can put in certain examples of how you have built Srinath with help of technology for a sustainable future.
Namaskar everyone. Thank you BOCI for giving me such an opportunity to express and share our feelings with the whole industry. Vijeta, coming to your question, the idea of implementing technology, it has to come within, and for that one needs to have that passion for that business. when we were talking about how the second generation or why the second generation is into this business, I think one thing I can speak on the behalf of four of us, what I have seen in my father's eyes is the passion for doing this business. And when we as second generation, when we see that passion, it kind of inspires us to know we have to take over this passion and we have to do something so that this passion continues. Now, to go with the changing times, you have to put in technology. It all started with first putting everything on computer. I have, since the day I joined business, I have seen the times where everything was paper. And it was a hard time convincing my father that we have to leave paper and go on computer. Trust me, it was not a very easy. I mean, I've had n number of fights where the arguments outside the office, people could hear the arguments that why are they shouting. But at the end of the day, all's well that ends well. We have now seen times where everything is online. I mean, I'm sitting in London and looking at my business, what is the number of passengers that have traveled today. Now, coming to not just booking, now our expenses, how my buses are performing. I can sit anywhere in the world and I can see how well my particular driver has driven the bus for that particular month or particular day, where he is faltering, where he is doing something good for which he has to be rewarded or maybe punished, if the case may be. So all these aspects are in a way contributing to the profitability, not just in money terms, but also in terms of reputation and overall experience for the passenger, for my driver, and also my office staff. Because it's going to be a joint experience. We can't depend on just one party to contribute to that experience.
See, each one of you, and this will now be an open question and anybody can take it, both from my Yuva panel and from the senior experience panel. It's going to be an open question. People sitting on this dais and many people sitting over there. Each one of you have built an amazing brand. People know you. People have traveled in your brand. People know your organization through the name that you put on your buses. Brand is a very important aspect in today's life. Organization spends years and years to make that brand. But for the future, how do you think should bus operators, including the Yuva, the next generation, and the confluence of the previous generation, how do you think a sustainable brand creation and maintenance should be happening through your business organization? It's an open question. Anybody can take it.
See, when you say brand value, brand is like a person. ब्रांड ये एक आदमी के जैसा होता है. ब्रांड का एक कुछ कैरेक्टरिस्टिक होता है. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल सम ब्रांड्स आर फेमस फॉर रेगुलरिटी in our business. Some brands are famous for safety. Some brands are famous for flashy, fancy vehicles. Some brands are famous for quality service overall, wherein your behavior of your people is also good. That characteristic maintaining is absolutely essential if you want to make your brand sustainable. If you try to change that character of a person, then people say he is weird and they don't believe in you.
Right.
Similarly, in brand, if brand changes its character, so when I say character, character is displayed by even the way you are designing your board, the way you are designing your office, the way your people talk to people. So that is what is brand. Brand is like a person. I mean, it has its own character. So if you want to make that sustainable brand, then you should ensure that
same character has consistent behavior in the market.
Absolutely. Any take
To
from here?
add to what Prasanna sir has said, what I feel is for any brand to continue, the first and foremost thing is any person has to identify what the customer is looking into that brand. I'll give two examples. One is a Bisleri bottle of water, and one is Himalaya brand. Both are brands providing perhaps the same service, but if I am used to, or I have an aspiration for buying that Himalaya brand, I will not go for Bisleri. And I think that perception also changes how I approach my customer, how I want to structure my business, how I want to structure the whole experience of my business. You will find Bisleri doing ad in railways and maybe buses, but you will not find a Himalaya water doing the same in buses. It will maybe do it in a business class of an airline or maybe somewhere. So for a brand, I think the exact positioning in terms of expectation from the customer, it is very necessary to identify and position accordingly.
Aditya, your take.
Just adding to what Prasanna sir was saying, a brand is like a human being, or like a person. Just as a person ages, evolves, changes, so does a brand. It goes through consistently giving the same services, but in different packages. So, as the brand changes, we have to legitimize its services. Like, I'm circling back to what I had said about building a culture, and a culture paradigm shift needs to happen where you look at how a brand is evolving. For example, there are ITIs for carpenters, electrical people. There is nothing for drivers. You don't legitimize them. You don't give them any certification. Engines are becoming better. BS6 engine has come. So many sensors have come. उसको कौन सिखाएगा? तो हमें हर चीज़ को कंसिस्टेंटली चेंज करना पड़ेगा, उसको लेजिटिमाइज करना पड़ेगा. अगर हमारी ब्रांड 10 साल पहले टॉप पे मानी जाती थी कि सबसे अच्छा सर्विस देती है, तो 10 साल के बाद जो चीज़ें अच्छी सर्विस की पॉइंट्स होती हैं, हमें उस पॉइंट को कवर करना पड़ेगा. और आज की डेट में सबसे मेन चीज़ है कि जो कस्टमर मांग रहा है इज प्रोफेशनलिज्म. हमें उस पे फोकस करना होगा, तब जाके द एवोल्यूशन ऑफ अ ब्रांड विल कंटिन्यू टू सॉलिडिफाई इटसेल्फ. दैट इज हाउ आई फील.
That actually reminds me of what I see happening on the roads. Shiva, you have done something very interesting since you have entered. I'm seeing a new design of VRL buses on the road. Is this part of your brand evolution?
Yes. So first, I have a bit of different opinion here. Like Aditya mentioned, I think definitely every customer in today's generation definitely, like, it's not like he's just getting into a bus, right? Because he has, when you put any source and destination, there are up to what, like 200 routes. So what exactly differentiates a company? I think branding in itself is a byproduct of your service. So the better your service, the more the customers know, the more the customers are coming back to being your repeat customers, and then your that word of mouth is spreading, right? Like that. So today I went in this bus and it's quite nice. But yes, at VRL we have taken branding seriously, and now I think that one key takeaway from our branding exercise was it does give a edge, especially in metropolitan cities, because they look at it and they have a different perception of the brand. And like sir said, there is consistency everywhere, right? So we don't just look at the journey as a post journey. We shouldn't consider it only during the journey. Right from the moment a customer thinks that yes, today I'm supposed to book a bus. So if he's thinking about your brand, then you've already are ahead of the race. And then the pre-journey experience, the booking, then during the journey, whatever amenities you're giving, and post-journey also, even if the customer faces any issues, how you handle it, all of this is important. And I think it's necessary to use branding as a tool here, and which is beneficial for both the customer as well as the operator.
I am leaning more towards my Yuva panel, and my question will be to Saurabh. Saurabh, we are talking a lot about technology, the pre-experience which a customer is having, the during bus experience, the post experience. Technology can do a lot of these things by itself, right? But not everything can be automated. There has to be certain things which are non-automated. So between automation and non-automation, what do you think can be automated and what cannot be, as per your thought process as the next generation?
Sure. So first of all, I think in an industry like ours, which is extremely people dependent, right? So we ferry collectively crores of people in the nation. Like yesterday we heard, we have 30, 40 crore people traveling in buses. Also as organizations, each one of our organization potentially ferries thousands of people a day. So I think there are two parts to the operations of the way I look at it. One is where SOP-driven enforcement is possible. Wherever there is SOP-driven enforcement, that is possible, and it's a repetitive task which you can, based on rules, define what happens, what decision then happens, etc. I think automation is the only way forward if you want to grow, because if you look at 50,000 transactions a day, for example, for a future company which aspires to be India's largest, it's impossible to not automate maybe 80% of the functions. But I think as per the 80-20 rule, maybe 20% of the non-automated functions where the human touch point is critical. So, like Aditya mentioned, the culture of a company defines which customer comes to it. So I think, and then again, to add to the point of brand, to me, brand is an indicator of what to expect from every service provider, because each different type of service provider has their own set of customers. So I think anything where you can keep your business human and give your customer that takeaway going back home, wherein there is that warmth in your service, I think that should not be automated, because that is probably the core essence of your business which people will remember you by. So there are travelers that I've heard and seen where I've heard stories, especially when I have been always traveling with my father. The ex-Chief Minister of Maharashtra once told him very, with clear memory that 25 years back, I traveled in your bus on berth number XYZ.
Wow.
To me, that is what a brand is about, but B also, those are the points which means that there is some human touch to the business that we were able to keep alive. And therefore, influential people who meet maybe thousands of people a day, still were able to remember one small instance about our brand, which I think is something that going forward we should be able to carry forward. And I think those are the areas that should not become robotic. They should very much be, culture-driven, human touch. Trained manpower should be in a position to, carry that culture legacy forward. And so, that's my quick take on, non-automation especially.
Absolutely. Sure. One last question that I would like to keep for the senior panel. In this rapidly evolving industry, sirs, is it more valuable to lean on the wisdom of experience, or is it more valuable to take risk with fresh perspectives? क्या ये ज़्यादा वैल्यूएबल होता है सर कि अगर आप एक्सपीरियंस के विजडम पे रहें, बिकॉज एक्सपीरियंस से विजडम आती है, राइट? और फ्रेश पर्सपेक्टिव कई बार रिस्क भी होता है, तो विजडम एंड फ्रेश पर्सपेक्टिव के बीच में कितना बैलेंस रखना है?
इन्वेस्टमेंट पर्पज से कह रही हैं आप?
सर बस इंडस्ट्री के पर्पस से, अपने बिजनेस के पर्पस से, इतने सारे जो बस ऑपरेटर्स हैं जो अपनी अगली जनरेशन को लेकर आएंगे।
देखिए, बस इंडस्ट्री, रिस्क, कोई भी बिजनेस होगा रिस्क तो लेना ही पड़ेगा। रिस्क के बगैर कभी भी आप सक्सेस नहीं हो सकते। रिस्क कोई भी ट्रेड हो, बस इंडस्ट्री हो या कोई भी हो, इन्वेस्टमेंट आज के टाइम में बहुत बड़ा इन्वेस्टमेंट हो गया इस इंडस्ट्री में। अगर कुछ इसके माइनस पॉइंट है तो ठीक है, इंटरनल हमारा कंपटीशन है, इसके लिए है। बिजनेस कोई बुरा नहीं है, सभी लोग आज जो है तो इसी बिजनेस से प्रोग्रेस की है। पर अगर हम टेक्नोलॉजी का नई क्वालिटी का अच्छी सर्विस देने का करें तो बिजनेस का बहुत अच्छे चांस है, आगे अच्छा चल सकता है। कोई सी बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम जैसा नहीं है।
प्रसन्ना सर, आपके हिसाब से विजडम एंड फ्रेश पर्सपेक्टिव, बैलेंस बिटवीन दीज टू?
It has to be combination of both. Sometimes your experience becomes your liability rather than your strength because it keeps you pulling down. क्योंकि हम इतने साल से बिजनेस कर रहे हैं तो हमको मालूम है कि क्या नहीं होने वाला है, या हमको 100% मालूम है। क्या होने वाला है ये दिखता नहीं है, जो न्यू जनरेशन को दिखता है क्या होने वाला है। सो यू शुड लीव दैट डिसीजन टू न्यू जनरेशन, but at the same time you should give them what possibly can go wrong. ये डिसीजन लेने से रॉन्ग क्या हो सकता है ये अगर आप उनको प्रीएम्प्ट करेंगे तो नेक्स्ट जनरेशन को करेज चाहिए कि ये जैसे गार्ड ने रेड बताया और इंजन को दिखता है कि इसने रेड फ्लैग बताया फिर भी मैं इसमें से जा सकता हूँ, तो इंजन ने आगे जाना चाहिए। एंड दैट इज व्हाट इज रिस्क। तो उसमें उतनी हिम्मत होनी चाहिए कि भाई मैं ये रिस्क लूंगा तो इसके लॉसेस सहने की भी मेरी हिम्मत है। लेकिन एट द सेम टाइम ही कैन नॉट इग्नोर द सजेशंस विच आर गिवन टू हिम, सो ही इज प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर द वर्स्ट।
Beautiful, very, very wonderfully put. And I'm pretty sure that the risk that the Yuva is taking is absolutely backed by the data, absolutely backed by a lot of research, because this generation that I have seen is backed by information. They will look into many different perspectives before taking a decision. I'm pretty sure with this particular panel discussion, each one of you is confident to understand how is the Yuva thinking and how is the generation in the previous side thinking from a business perspective. With that, thank you so much for your patience and a very big round of applause for everybody in the panel.
I would request the panelists to kindly stay back because we have some mementos to be given away. First of all, I would request Ramesh Babu to kindly come over here and give the memento to our moderator, Vijeta Soni. Kindly come forward. Ramesh Babu will give the memento to Vijeta Soni. Sachidanand will come over and give the memento to Shri Shiva Sankeshwar after this. Shiva Sankeshwar, kindly come forward, and when I read out the names, kindly come forward, sir. I would request Shri Rajkumar to kindly come over and give a memento to Shri Saurabh Patwardhan. Saurabh ji, thoda aage aa jaiye. Yes. Mr. Umashankar will come over and give a memento to Shri Aditya Sagar. Umashankar to Aditya Sagar. Hey, wait. Umashankar will come and give a memento to Shri Aditya Sagar. Thank you, Aditya Sagar. Shri Shakil Jabbar will come over and give the memento to Shri Bhavesh Kabra of Srinath Travels. Mr. Manoj Padikkal will come over and give a memento to Shri Pradyumna Datta Network. Pradyumna Datta, yeah. Pradyumji, kindly accept a memento. And finally, I would request Mr. Narendra to kindly come over and give a memento to Shri Mr. Nandlal Kabra. Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause for the Yuva Shakti, and of course guided by the seniors. I would request all the panelists to kindly come down. I know Prasanna Patwardhan is the host. So Prasanna Patwardhan will stay back. All the other panelists can go back after the photograph.